Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today, thanks to Photosura, I'm going to present you the Canon M50 Mark II. Let's start. Last year I made a review of the M50 and many people were expecting the M50 Mark II, and a few days ago Photosura called me and said, I've got a M50 Mark II, do you want to try it? I said, yeah, okay. So I will answer that many people who ask me what I think about the Mark II, and because I'll leave you the link of my review of the M50, the first version, and many people were complaining about some things that were a bit lacking in the M50, and they wanted to see if it was fixed or bettered in the Mark II. So I'm going to pass you some pictures and video I've made and give you my opinion if it's worth buying the Mark II, or if you have the first version, keep it and don't even think about the Mark II, or if you don't have any of them but you want an M50, whether the one or the two. Okay, so let's carry on. So the first thing you're going to see when you compare this version, the Mark II, with the Mark I, is that they're really identical. There's no difference. There's one thing that is really stunning. You see the difference? I must say, I'm going to show you the difference is really big. This is this. Here it's written Mark II. And this is really the most stunning difference. Okay, so well, I will speak about more in details, but what you will see is this big difference. Okay, so you don't have to check all the video of the first version. I'm going to tell you the specs of this one, which are almost the same, not to say the same. Okay, this is an APS-C camera, APS-C sensor, mirrorless camera of 24.1 megapixel. Yeah, megapixel, okay? And it comes with the kit lens is a 15 to 45, 3.5, 6.3. It is not really luminous. And the rest is the same. So let's pick. So many people wanted the Mark II to get new things, like a new screen, or better screen, the same. Better viewfinder, the same. Better, oh well, here the button is different. It was NFC, now it's Wi-Fi. Okay, the same. Almost everything is the same, not to say everything is the same. Well, that's wrong. There's one big difference. I think it's an important difference for many people, and for others not at all. Okay, the HDMI output now is a clean output. It means that for people who are actually using a camera instead of a webcam to do streaming on internet, this one can use the HDMI output and have clean without text, because normally HDMI for that kind of camera are used to check on a screen, on outside screen, and then you have some information, and not always they give a clean version. You always have the text, so if you use it to stream, people will see the text. In this case, no, you have a clean version. This was already on the M200, I think. So for people who want to stream, this is good. And also, you can actually stream on Wi-Fi. It means if you're at home and you want to walk around your house with your camera, so you cannot be plugged with a cable to your computer, well, you can actually, if you're on the same network as your computer, you can actually stream to YouTube with Wi-Fi, as long as your YouTube account actually lets you stream, because it depends on the amount of subscribers you have, and you have a minimum, but this doesn't depend on Canon, it depends on YouTube. Okay, but if you can already use that on your account, then you can use the camera to stream and directly to YouTube, and also in Wi-Fi. So that's really a big difference for some people. For others not. For some people it's a big difference. The size is the same, obviously. The weight is 387 grams, body only. Okay, the size is 116 millimeter here, 58 thick and 88 tall. Okay, well, it's the same. You have the microphone connector here. I think I forgot to say this is on EFM mount. I always complained that Canon didn't have that many lenses in M mount, but now Sigma has made some M mount lenses, so adapted some of their lenses to the M mount. So that's good news. It gives you more options, so that's good. It gives us like a second life to the M system of Canon. Okay. The autofocus is dual pixel, and they're supposed to have bettered it in the way that maybe you won't see the difference, because actually what they've bettered is face and eye detection, when people are a bit far away. So if you always have people close, maybe you will not see the difference, but if you have the person a bit further, you will see, otherwise close you won't see anything. And dual pixel unfortunately is still giving problems in the way that it works fantastic, but when you use your camera in 4K, then it's not dual pixel, it's contrast detection, and this is a problem. So because then it doesn't work that much. So Mr. Canon, you know that all your customers wanted to have dual pixel in 4K also. You could have worked on that. You had time for it, okay? They've added that face and eye detection works also in video, not just in picture, okay? So that's good. So let's speak about the ISO. That goes from 100 to 25,600 ISO. I would say that up to 3200, they're okay. Above that, I mean, a bit bad, okay, but 3200 is completely usable, so I think we cannot complain about that. For me, it sounds good. If you're in 4K, it goes from 100 up to 6400 ISO, and Full HD from 100 up to 12,800 ISO. I think maybe people expect to have a lot better high ISO, but I think they're enough and acceptable, okay? Speed from 30 seconds up to 1/4000th of a second. Then the screen. Screen is 3-inch. Is orientable, fully touchable, even in the menus, all this is, you touch for everything. This is great, okay? So the typical camera people want to use for vlogging or selfies or whatever. So I'll give you a sample. I made an example I made with my daughter. Well, vlogging test with Pino, and the sound you hear is from the camera. There is not much light here, so the ISO is on automatic, but I wanted you to hear the sound, so that's it. Pino, hello! Hello, hello, hello! Okay, and one thing they've added now is that they've added this. I'm going to switch on the camera. They've added a record button here. Of course, obviously you have the button here, okay, to start recording, but also on the screen. Some people say you don't need it. Some people like it. It all depends on you. I think if you don't like it, don't use it. Doesn't bother that it's on the screen. But for some people, they like to press the screen instead of this button. That sounds stupid, but it's not stupid, because when you press a screen, normally the camera shakes less than if you press a button, okay, the way it works, okay? So I think it's good they've added that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother. Someone don't want to use it, it's not bothering anyway. So the screen is okay. The flash, you have a small flash, integrated flash. It synchronizes at 1/200th of a second. I wish it was 1/250, but well, for Canon, that kind of that range of camera, 200 is okay. Is what they normally use. What I like is they kept the standard hot shoe. They didn't do like the SL3 or 250D and the 4000D and 2000D or this. That they removed the central connector. Here it is, so you can use a standard flash and a standard trigger. Obviously, if you want TTL, you need a compatible Canon TTL, but otherwise, if you use manual, you can use any flash that will work. Okay, so that's good news. Here you have the scene and the modes, all this, a typical portrait, landscape, whatever, and then people don't want to process a picture afterwards. You have a black and white, all this, typical, I never use, but it's good, it's there for people who don't know how to do it afterwards, so they can it helps them. They don't want to or don't know how to expose in manual or the setup for what kind of picture. They use the scene mode, and that's perfect. What they've put also, I think it was not on the version 1. I think it is here, but I'm not sure it was on the version 1. You can actually decide the kind of menu you want. If you want the standard menu, the guided menu, or the standard menu. Okay. If you're in guided menu, you get some information depending on what you're going to do. It will tell you, take care, in this situation it seems that there is not much light and the speed is really low, the picture is going to be blurred, or things like this. So it helps you walking through making your picture. So it's like having a small teacher within your camera. Okay, I think the first camera I saw with that was the 800D, the T7, I think it is, T7i, sorry. And I think this is good for people who start and they don't know where to start, so it gives them some way to go through that. And when you're used to it, then you're gonna go back to the standard menu, so you don't have all this small drawing, all this. You have just the data you need. Okay, so but that's good. They've integrated this in this camera. So let's speak about video. Video, it's they do 4K at 24 and 25 frames per second. Many people expected to have something better, to have also 30 and 50 frame, 30, 50 and 60 frames per second. They didn't put it. You still have a crop, 1.6 crop in 4K. It means that if I'm doing some vlogging like this, I go 4K, I'm just like this all of a sudden. Okay, so it means that you will probably to have to buy a lens like a 10 to 20 millimeters if you wanted to do 4K, if you want to keep the angle. Okay, so this is something I don't understand. They didn't better that. So many people think this camera is 4K. It's not 4K. It's a camera that can do some 4K. It's not a 4K camera because the crop is massive, and also the speed you have 24 and 25 frames per second is too limited, and also you lose the dual pixel autofocus. So this is incredible. As a Mr. Canon, people have been waiting a couple of years or a bit more for this camera, and you didn't put that in there. I do not understand that. Mr. Canon, wake up, okay? Wake up, because this camera could be a lot better. And actually, I would add many more things. People were asking to have better Full HD. Full HD, you have 24, 25, 30, 50 and 60 frames per second. But they didn't put a 120 and 100 frames per second, and people wanted to have something like this, to have even slower motion video, and didn't put any of this. Also, for a couple of years now, you don't have this tax payment for cameras that were recording more than 30 minutes. So many brands are removing this time limit. But Canon keeps it on 30 minutes maximum continuous recording. Well, Fujifilm also, many brands still keep it, okay? But Canon didn't remove it, waived it. So I think it would be good to have more than 30-minute continuous recording, okay? Some people want to record a wedding of their family with that, and they don't want to be pressing the button after 30 minutes, so that would be good. You have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and something else people were expecting is a better battery. They kept the same battery, same size, and the battery life is the same, which was already very short. I can't remember the figures, it is in my other video anyway, but people wanted to have a better battery to have to last longer, okay? But well, one thing I must congratulate Canon, because there are not many brands that still do that. They put a proper charger. So it means if you have two batteries, you can charge one in the charger, place one in the charger, go around with your camera with the other battery. You are not stuck with an USB cable charging your battery, or you are not stuck in the hotel while it is charging, and that is good. Or you don't have to buy an extra charger, an optional charger. This is included. So I congratulate Canon, because they are still making chargers. So Fujifilm, Sony, and some others, they should look at Canon on this one. So this camera could be far better. First, when I speak about the negative points, I must say that I love this camera. I love the M50 first version also. This is my favorite M camera in the M range of Canon. I didn't like the M6 Mark II, I didn't like the M200 on this, but this is great because it's really small, gives a lot, but it could be the perfect camera, Mr. Canon. You could have made the perfect camera for people who want a small pro camera, a small every use camera when they travel or when they go around in the city. Bring a small camera like this, but you need an extra wheel here for aperture. So here you have actually the speed or aperture here. You must switch pressing this button. Put two, so one wheel in the front, one in the back. One is for aperture, one is for speed. And you can actually program it and invert it, okay? Second, if people are going to use that for traveling, you should think about some sealing, weather seal or weatherproof or weather or dust proof, okay? Because it's not just the rain, because when it's raining a lot, obviously I get wet myself, so maybe I don't want to make picture anyway, whether it's completely shower proof or it doesn't really matter. Maybe I don't want to make picture anyway because of myself behind the camera. But if you're in a humid place or really dusty place, that would be good. That would be you have a version, a weatherproof and a dustproof version. That would be top. So Mr. Canon, I think you could make the perfect camera in this size, APS-C, perfect camera. and you just don't want to make it. I don't know why. I don't know why. This M50 could be brilliant. You don't want to make it better, and you can. I know you can, Mr. Canon. The name Canon. Okay, you can. Okay. So, do I recommend this camera? Well, honestly, this is a difficult decision. I would say that if you have on a first version, I would say why should you buy the Mark II? And if you don't have any, I would say which one should you buy? Would you pay extra for this Mark II? Well, a year ago I would have a different conclusion than now. A year ago I would say I would not pay extra for the Mark II. That's simple. I would go for the first version and that's it. But we've been confined many months. Many people are still confined. They're at home, they cannot go out, and many people have started to do streaming on Twitch, on YouTube, or social networks, and having this possibility to stream clean directly from the HDMI, I think this is brilliant, because it's a lot better quality than a simple webcam or your computer webcam. So as we don't know how the future is going to go, why not pay for the extra for this HDMI streaming? That sounds stupid, but the price difference is not that big. It's going to get bigger because I think the version 1 is going to drop a lot more the price, but you don't know how it's going, and maybe one day you really want it. But obviously, if you are sure you don't want to stream and you were expecting better 4K video, you're not getting it. Better image quality, it's the same image quality, which is good, but it's the same. It's the same everything. So really the difference is this, and the detection of face and the eye in video. But that's it. So I think there are not many differences. The only difference that would justify this is this clean HDMI. So do I recommend this camera? Yeah, as a camera, the M50 and the M50 Mark II, I recommend both because they're a small camera, great camera, but you must know their limits. If you buy it as a 4K camera, this is not a 4K camera. This is a camera that can do 4K, but not the way you were probably expecting. Okay, is this a travel camera? Yes, it is a travel camera. Take care. There are some limits in dust and water and all this, but obviously this I would probably bring that kind of camera if I was traveling. I would maybe get that kind of camera. The lenses are small, size is small, I think it's compact, it's nice, it's a really nice camera. So yes, as I say, I still recommend the M50. I recommended last year or 2 years ago, and yes, I recommend this one, but whether buying the Mark I or the Mark II, or the first version or the Mark II, depends on actually your needs. If you have the first version and were expecting something a lot better here, except the streaming, you are not getting it. It's not worth paying extra and changing cameras. If you're going to buy your first camera and you want an M50 or M50 Mark II, probably I would go directly to this one because you know what you're going to do, and second, because it will keep its value a bit longer than the first version. Okay, so if you want to sell it in a couple of years, whatever, price will have kept maybe a bit longer than the first version that is already dropping a lot. So yeah, it's a really recommendable camera if you know exactly what you're buying. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you very much, Photosura, for lending me the camera. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The small button down here and also a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. I also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, also links to other parts of my YouTube channel, and also link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. I thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you for your time. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.